Today I want to be doing a quick little video on microdermal implants. I was going to be doing a different topic, but I think because my microdermal's healed, I'm just going to do this video just so I can go into a fresh review on getting an implant, because it is rather new. I've only had it for I think about 2 months, maybe a month and a half. So this is my microdermal. It's on my, I think that's called the forearm. I don't know. I have just a normal little diamond in it. Nothing really special. So, it was punched. It was not used with, or it was not done with a needle. What punching is they use a tool that is kind of like a cookie cutter, and then they basically cut out a tiny piece of skin, and then they just slip the foot of the implant. Microdermals are shaped like this. It's a foot, and then it has a little post that sticks out of the foot. There's a long end of the foot and then a shorter end of the foot. And then there's a post, and then there's the diamond, or the bead, or whatever you decide to cap it off with. And what happens is the foot is slid underneath the skin, then the tiny part of the foot is popped into place, and then it's stuck under the skin. There are typically holes inside of the implant's foot so that skin can adhere to it and kind of like graft to it and like basically become a part, make the jewelry a part of the body. So they are considered semi-permanent, although don't get that wrong by not thinking that they can't reject, because they do have a high tendency of rejection and migration, especially during the early stages. Rejection usually happens later on. And some controversial ways of preventing rejection is tea tree oil, I've heard, but I've also heard that that doesn't work, so it's kind of up to you and your own body and experience. So I got mine done, I think, with a 10 gauge punch. I didn't really ask. They didn't grab my skin or anything because my skin is very tough, so he had to just push it in as far as he could into my skin, because with tough skin there is a higher risk of not being able to get the implant underneath if it's not burrowed deep enough. So it hurt a lot because of that, because of the need to burrow in deep. It didn't bleed much. It was a rather quick process. It feels kind of like a bee sting, like that toxic stinging feeling. And it was pretty easy with the healing. All I did was use Bactine and just clean around it. No microdermal is exactly centered. Like, the bead will sometimes lean a little bit. That's perfectly normal. It's because the dermal layer of skin is not actually like layers as you would imagine. It's more of a zigzag. So upon zigzags upon zigzags, which is why they sometimes lean a little crooked. With rejection, it's a good idea to put a band-aid on it just so that you can keep the raising at a minimum, because you can develop really huge scars if both feet start to be pushed out. A lot of people mistaken transdermals for microdermals, and I do want to clear up what a transdermal is very quickly. A transdermal is a more permanent version of a microdermal. I've heard people use ridiculous definitions of what a transdermal is, But really just a transdermal is a more permanent version. They usually have to be cut out in a more extreme fashion. Microdermals, they typically just have to have an incision done at the big part of the foot of the jewelry, and then they can easily just pop it out. Or you can do the massaging method, which is rubbing the jewelry. That would be kind of hard since it's on my arm. And then usually the jewelry will just pop out. I do get a lot of questions on why my microdermal is on my arm and not on my face like a lot of people usually have them. A lot of people have them on their sternum, on their breast, on their face, and just here or in their forehead. And I got mine on my arm. The reason I got it on my arm is because I've always been wary of microdermals. I've had a lot of experience with piercings rejecting, because my body does reject a lot. So I just got it on my arm because I'd feel more comfortable having a scar on my arm rather than on my face. I did have a reverse eyebrow or anti-eyebrow. So I do have a scar there, and that doesn't really bother me, but with microdermals it's kind of unpredictable how it's going to scar, and I just don't want to take that risk on my face. And also it's kind of in a good place. I don't usually hit it a lot. I can imagine if me taking off my shirt constantly would snag on it, and it would be horrible. I do catch it on the door sometimes, but it's nothing horrific. I've never caused it to like bleed because I pulled on it or anything. I got it put right back here because of the bend on my arm. It's best to put microdermals in areas that don't move a lot. Some people put them in their cheeks, which I think is a very bad idea. Microdermals, and I also don't agree really with in the cheekbones, is because your face doesn't move a lot. Even if you put your fingers here and just smile or do anything, you'll feel it start moving, and it's best to put microdermals in areas that won't move or you will reject at some point. Some people debate that all microdermals reject, but I know people that have had microdermals for years and years and they're still in, so it's kind of a debatable topic. So that's basically it. Just have fun. Get them in areas that are not too bony. Some people do, and it becomes painful because basically the microdermal will rub up against muscle or bone, and then it can cause very bad reactions. So if you are thinking of doing your sternum, please pick good areas. A piercer will usually recommend an area that is not delicate, but some piercers have done it in stupid areas. I had a friend who did it here, and now she has very bad scarring because it was basically done on her collarbone. So just be careful, and that's basically it. Love you guys. Bye.